All right, so we have no correspondence?
I actually
We do?
have some correspondence.
All right.
I actually got an email from our class of 2025 advisors. They are going to be submitting the documentation probably for the March meeting because they're trying to beat a deadline for the 2021 Washington DC trip. So I'm going to work with them to get all that done,
Okay.
and it'll come for your approval hopefully in March. They're trying to, I think if they do it a year in advance, there's some cost savings things that can happen. So,
Right.
our co-advisors, Mrs. Margaret Hanson and Megan Hanson, are co-advisors for the class, are just sent me an email and said we're looking to get that going and start doing the fundraising.
Okay,
And
Good.
we can't do any of that until they get approval. So.
all right. All right, so moving on to the highlight of the evening. The budget.
That second to warm up. So much of what you hear tonight, you already know. You know, we have gone through a process over the first part of the school year, I guess through the late fall and through the winter. Obviously, we presented a preliminary budget to you in January. We followed up with the budget workshop where you're going to meet with the different departments to get a sense of what the budget looked like. As you know, we work off of our district improvement plan, which was developed this past summer, particularly the vision statement and our core values and goals, and try to build budget, you know, things in the budget, budget items that will help us accomplish those goals. This slide, you know, you've seen it several times, but it's really important to kind of review regularly because we are falling behind. That's the unfortunate truth. But our increases don't match what the world expects in an increase. 2.5% per year is just the minimum to meet inflation on a regular basis. Contracts, salaries go up, fuel, electricity, paper clips, they all get more expensive by about 2.5% per year. When we don't meet the 2.5% each and every year, we fall behind each year. And I know I've done this before, but just to give you a sense, if we had received 2.5% in each of these years, our budget would have been going into this year just 2.5%, $6,646,451. Our first preliminary budget after the first round of cuts was $6,657,000, so it was about $11,000 difference. So we wouldn't have gone through a round two of cuts. So unfortunately, this is where we are, and significantly behind. Spoke just a second ago about the reductions. You remember seeing these from the first preliminary budget. Out of that budget, we removed all the new positions. If you remember, there were 4. A part-time art teacher, a half-time art teacher at the junior senior high, to make that a full 1.0. A math coach here at the elementary school, a half-time instructional technology specialist to provide sort of the next level of what kids often get in library. They're really focused on instructional technology, digital citizenship, etc. And lastly, a technology specialist in terms of providing support and repair for equipment, software, hardware, etc. Speaking of hardware and software, we had a number of new items in there, total of 31,000 that we eliminated. We have a current staff position that's open that we plan not to refill. And then a whole bunch of, as I often use the word, stuff. Reductions across facilities, curriculum, student services, and junior senior high. totaling a little over $250,000 in that first round of budget reductions, which was included in the first preliminary budget number that we shared. After the budget workshop, we were still at about 8.5% increase. We proceeded with another round of cuts, additional technology totaling about $12,000, administrative restructuring, including the elimination of the high school principal position, savings of $76,000, and elimination of the special education contingency fund of $40,000, so there's an additional $128,613 that we reduced from the budget. And so the budget books that I provided have this as this page. It's up front. All the different departments, so to speak, for lack of a better way to say it. On the left side, what we're proposing for a budget this year with those reductions, what was approved for this current school year, the increase. If there was a decrease, it would be in like parentheses. And then if you remember, we talk about these offsets, the revolving accounts, the reimbursements, the grants. That's where we're total $1.1 million. And so we reduced the total budget minus the offsets, giving us what our proposed budget for the town would be, which is $6,516,000. Just to break down the offsets a little bit for you, at the elementary school, the number of places that we pull those offsets from. These are the title grant, small rural schools grant, which is the federal grant, school choice in money, Title I, the high school, school choice, and the two, that's a special ed grant. Then we have a tuition revolving account, but that is empty right now. In pupil services, again, federal grants, the circuit breaker reimbursement, federal grants. If you remember, the grant 391 is the grant I told you is ending. This is the last year of it, so that's why that's zero here. Pre-K revolving account, the wrong one. Again, there are folks who pay tuition to go to our pre-K school, and so when we collect the tuition, we sink back in, and usually that goes towards a salary. This isn't specific to what line it's coming out of. So again, offsets of $551,000 there. In curriculum, again, more title grants, Title I, 2A, and 4, about $25,000. And then technology offsets is an E-rate program. It's a federal program that helps with certain costs. Can't necessarily buy a computer with it, but you can do all the back-end stuff, the network stuff, the wiring, the hubs and the access points. Essentially what that does is for every $10 we spend on things like those access points and stuff like that, the federal government will pay 7 of them. And this is the last year for some of those expenses. So it's really important that we try not to reduce this, because that's going to be able to, the $3 we spend turns into 10 is how the best way to say that. So it's really important that we try to keep that, because it's going to upgrade our infrastructure, technology infrastructure. And then we have a user fee for athletics, and so the offset of $10,000 in athletics. So here's the summary. This $7,687,000 is after the reductions, the 2 rounds of reductions, the offsets, giving us our net request of $6,516,096.64. You take that and subtract out what we got in this year's approved budget from town meeting. That's the difference, and that's how you get a 6.23% increase. So where are we now? Again, this year's budget plus 2% gives us what the town asked us to come in at. Here's what we're proposing. This is the current difference between the 6.23% increase and the 2% increase the town has asked us to come in at. So if we meet the town number, that's what we're going to need to cut. And just kind of for clarification, if you are thinking percentage points, each 1% is $61,000 in our budget. So instead of 2%, we got 3% from the town, we'd get $183,000. So for every 1%, add about $61,000. If you reduce 1%, it's minus $61,000. So what's next? I'm going to be bluntly honest, which is if we need to cut any more, staffing is really the only place to look at. Our budget is approximately 80% people, just a little bit under, and there's not a lot of stuff left. In your budget books, if you flip through it, anything highlighted in red, red font, is something we already took out of the budget. So when you look through and you look in a certain line item and you see things in red, that means we've reduced, that's gone. So it's still in there, but it's not in there in terms of finances. We put it in red so you could get a sense of what we've already reduced. So I'm not sure there's a lot of stuff left to cut. If we need to cut people, then programs and services are affected because the people are the programs. Certainly academic programs are pretty simple. You cut teachers, you cut instructional assistants. That affects what we can do during the school day. But then there's outside the school day, whether it's stipend positions, coaches, whatever. Those are impactful to what we can offer kids. That's where we're at. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's not pretty. It's not great to hear, but it's the honest truth of where we're at in terms of the finances. We talked about this before, that these kinds of things build over time. At some point it catches up to you, and there's no more places to cut. There's no more places to sort of figure out how to make it work without it really hurting. If we're at 2%, $260,000 is really going to hurt. It's a lot of people in programs. But we'll go one step at a time, I guess. So we're here. Obviously, you're in a position to. I've presented a proposed budget. You're as a school committee. You can give me a number if you want to go with what I've proposed. You're able to vote that in. If you want to go with something higher or lower, you're obviously capable of doing that. And we need to submit that final budget number to the town by March 1st. So we'll get that set after tonight's meeting. And then between March 1st and the town meeting, we should have ongoing discussions with the selectmen, the board of the finance committee, et cetera.
Yeah, so this is all thank you for all the work you did putting this together. It's not easy to hear, but it's laid out really clearly. I guess my question is for people who don't understand the ins and outs of the budget and maybe haven't taken the time to read all of this. For the person that asks, well, we got 2% last year, why is it 6% this year? What's the easiest way to answer that question in terms of what makes this year different? Do you know what I'm saying? Because, is it...
Last year we needed 6.
So I think over time, and I've explained it using this slide before, where each year you fall behind, you get a little bit more behind, and at some point there's a breaking point. There's no more room. Last year we cut 1.8 teachers.
Right. Okay. So for
that
example,
wasn't easy, but we could make it work.
In the year before, what would you might have done? Well, but what I'm saying is that's the sort of thing is that starting, from
middle school athletics,
right?
Things like that have gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
And those hurt, but they're not,
right. But that stuff has already been cut, hasn't come back into the budget.
We're so thin now where...
You don't have a full-time music teacher at the elementary school. You only, you have teachers like the phys ed are splitting time between the elementary school and the high school. So, starting, probably before
Yeah, I only went back 8 years,
Right.
but I'm sure if
Yeah.
you went back 18 years, you'd see a
Right, so
similar
in
trend.
every, I mean, and I think I said this at the parent meeting, what the problem is that at least Mr. Lind and Dr. Tenza have done an excellent job keeping keeping core things going and on less and less money, and it's a testament to you, but it's not a good thing, so.
No, and I think what we always do, and will continue to do, it's not a shot at anyone or whatever, is we instinctively, we try to hide those losses by providing other things. So if there's a way to save something, we do. And you know, reduce something that maybe isn't as visible, but at some point those go away and there's no more places to go. And I honestly feel
We're
like
at that
we're
point.
there.
Yeah.
I'll be posting a lot of stuff on our website and sending it out via Facebook and other communication means. I do an executive summary of the proposed budget that the school committee approves, and it talks about a lot of the different things that we're talking about, whether it's, you know, where does the money come from? What happens when? You know, what do all these things mean? So I'll be posting that. I think the best way for people to get the information is to come here and ask school committee, to go to Board of Selectmen and FinCom meetings, and educate themselves as best they can, because when May and really June comes and it's time to vote on a budget, you know, people will want to be educated and know what they're voting for or not voting for. And I guess that's if you show up, right? The other thing is people have to be part of the solution, which is cast a vote at town meeting. And I think that's, again, a really important sort of civic lesson, that this is, you know, their town. People who live here own everything about it. So showing up is really important. But I think we're at the breaking point of there's no more places to reduce things and try to hide it, because those are all gone. And yes, maybe there are some more dollars there for stuff, but it's not a lot. It just isn't. And so, not sure where else we can go. We've worked really hard to try to come up with the places we are. I think we're just at a point now where we would see significant losses to our school programs, and more importantly to the people who do the work here. So, you know, we'll go through, we'll submit a budget on March 1st, and then, you know, of course, the committee and myself will be in contact with municipal partners like the Board of Selectmen and the FinCom to have some ongoing discussions about what we're all thinking and how we can resolve and solve the problem. And then in May and June, the town meeting will hit, and it's time to show up and vote and decide in true democratic fashion what the budget should be.
So, does anyone else have any of the committee members have comments or anything you want to say before we, anything, questions? I mean, you know, what I'm going to say is that you know, 6.23 is not enough, but that is the budget that has been worked out. I would prefer that's the one that we vote and send to the select board, and that is the one that I would like to see us bring to the town meeting. It's, like I said, it's not enough. And you know, when people will argue and criticize, but
Yeah, I would second Maria's point in that I see our job as school committee to recommend, of course, we have to be fiscally responsible, but as Maria said, the 6% is already not enough. And it's our job to also recommend what's programming-wise sound policy that, you know, so. And then that will need to be worked out with the town. I hope we have discussions with the Finance Committee and the Select Board. I hope that can be a collaborative effort, because if it can be, we go into town meeting better prepared to make the case to the town, like all town boards on board.
Yeah, in the community at large, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So the budget that I'm recommending is $6,516,096.64.
So, actually, can you say that again, please?
$6,516,096
Yeah. 096.
$0.96
Yep.
and 64 cents.
Okay, so just to make sure I heard you correctly, $6,516,096.64.
You got it.
Okay, oh, it's right there.
All right. And you, Ruth or Kristen, anything that you have?
Sure, motion to approve the fiscal year 21 preliminary budget of $6,516,096.64.
Second. All in favor?
All right, thank you.
Your slide had FY20.
Did it? I can adjust it.
Yep.
Um,
Sorry. So after that, moving on, we have our update of this year's FY20's budget.
Yeah, so in your packet is the financial reports. Met with Sheila, and, you know, her biggest concern is not these line items per se, other than the out-of-district tuition line, which is obviously significantly overdrawn with the additional students we have out of district.
Did you and Mr. Minucci attend?
So that is coming up in March.
Oh, okay.
There's one in early March, I think it's next week, a webinar, and then the following week there's an on-site. Mark, where is that? Is that in West Boylston, or?
It's in, no, it's,
Wherever it is, doesn't matter. Where we'll go and complete the extraordinary relief request for circuit breaker. And there's a potential for a significant amount of money that will certainly reduce the concern, but not eliminate it. And we'll, you know, I think if we're eligible, I think we'll be able to make do. If we're not eligible, then we're in a lot of trouble. This
For
is-
FY20.
Yeah, this is a go to the town kind of thing.
Right.
Because Sheila's doing all the math, and I will have hard numbers for you at the next meeting to tell you how much we're looking at out of whack.
Right.
For lack of a better way to say
And
it.
this is before June 30th of
Yes.
this. Yeah.
Yep.
And do we have any sort of idea when the state lets you know?
So March is when we do the application, for lack of a better word. It's not really, you fill out forms and
Right.
submit it. And then they review it, and it's usually in April that they get back to you and let you know where you stand.
Okay.
So-
And so when do they give you the money if you get it?
Essentially right away.
Okay.
If you're eligible
Alright.
for it, they start to adjust your payments, because the payments are sent out on a regular basis.
Okay.
So, you know, there's no major issues in terms of the budget. We're just working on the pluses and minuses, as we always do at about this time of the year. What did we budget? What have we expended so far? What do we plan to expend, you know, through the end of the year? Is there, for lack of a better way to say it, some nickels, dimes, and quarters sitting in each account that, you know, we put $100 in an account and only spent 90 of it. Do we need to buy another $10 worth of stuff, or do we not? And we can pool that money into a larger pot to help defray some of these costs. The biggest area for that is salaries.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
so if you plan to pay someone a certain amount and you hired someone at a lower rate, or someone retired, or someone was out on leave for some extended period of time and they weren't able to use sick time for that leave, or they used up all their sick time, there's salary differential money. Usually that's the biggest pot. So we're doing that work over the next month, so at the March meeting, I should have a better sense of the pluses and minuses within our budget and be able to report out to you where we stand in that thing. And that'll give us a sense of, is that going to support some of our needs for these out-of-district tuitions.
Okay.
Questions? I know it's-
It is West Boylston, I just looked it up.
What's that?
It is West Boylston.
What's
I
the
just looked it
address,
up.
Mark? Exactly. Map it for us.
Don't do that to him.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He knows I'm
He's
kidding.
gonna look it up.
You don't have to look it up. I'm joking. All right. Well, we look forward to hearing good news then from that. Okay, so regional study update.
Yeah, just a quick update. On Wednesday night, we'll have our first meeting. It's an organizational meeting of the Regionalization Study Committee. We have 17 members. I'm still waiting to hear from the Finance Committee on members.
Did I understand that the gentleman, I don't know his last name, Chet, he was hoping to get an invitation, I guess?
I invited all the Finance Committee through their chair.
Okay.
And was hoping,
Okay.
as a committee, they would decide much the
Okay.
way this committee
Right.
did and the Board of Selectmen did. I will reach out again and say,
Okay,
I can't just have
right.
anybody from the Finance Committee say, I want to be on there.
Right.
It's-
Has to
Their,
be,
their committee votes and assigns them
right,
for the role, but I'll clarify that.
okay,
So it's an organizational meeting. We got a number of tasks. One is let's schedule meetings for the next several months, pick out a day and a time and a location that works for the most people. I know we're not going to be able to coordinate the 17 different people perfectly. We did receive 4 quotes from facilitators to provide the service of walking us through this process. I'll bring those to the committee to review. I'll be recommending to the group that maybe a subcommittee be developed to maybe interview or meet with, phone interview, whatever, with those quotes to be able to move forward with a facilitator. And then lastly, we have several applicants for the recording secretary. And that would be my same recommendation, is maybe there could be a small subcommittee that reviews those applicants, sets up brief interviews if necessary, and makes a recommendation on who should serve as recording secretary for that role.
So just to clarify for our audience, that the grant was funded by this regionalization study is being funded by a grant provided by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education from money that was allocated by the state legislature. And
Yes, so there's a lot of work to do.
Yep. and the demographic study you said?
I want to present that to the group, but I would ask the group to approve
Okay.
contracting with NESDEC to do the demographic study. That's what they do. They're good at it. That demographic study will actually support the town, and it'll provide us enrollment projections for, I believe, the next 10 years.
Okay.
And that would be a portion of the grant funding money okay.
So that
A
was in
portion
the
of that
grant
would be, yeah.
to get enrollment projections and demographic study.
Right, so it's all part of the same
Yeah.
grant money?
Yep. The grant encompasses about $33,000
Yep.
for several different things. That
Mhm.
was one of
That
them.
was one portion,
Yep.
yep.
All right, and these are public meetings, so if the public is interested,
Yep.
they can attend, and the
So it's-
first one is gonna be this upcoming Wednesday at 6:30 PM at the high school in the Keeper Room.
Yep.
And I also assume that we will provide various updates when there's information to provide.
Absolutely. I'll
Yep.
update them through regular weekly updates, my email updates as stuff happens.
Right.
And certainly we'll update the school committee on a regular basis during meetings. And Mrs. Millard and Mrs. Tucker are the school committee reps on that committee.
Me and Elizabeth got to spend a lot of time together this week.
So it's busy week.
Thank you. Moving on is the update on the plan that we have to provide for the Student Opportunity Act.
Yeah, so as part of the new law, the Student Opportunity Act, in terms of funding, part of the law was that each district needs to develop and submit to DESE for the commission's review a plan that identifies how we're going to expend the Chapter 70 funds that we receive. And it's based really on how much you receive as to what type of plan you need to do. If your district received $1.5 million or more, then you need to do the long form plan. And if your district received less than 1.5 million, you get to do the short form.
So that's
Wouldn't that be
positive
nice,
for
though?
you, a short form,
I
right?
volunteered when I was in a meeting with the commissioner that I would be happy to do the long plan if he increased our funding. And unfortunately, he's had that offer a number of times, and it's not really in his purview to give us more. That right now, that belongs to the legislature, the governor, etc. So we received an additional $18,000, so we are well below the 1.5 amount. We received $30 per student, which is the state mandated minimum per student increase each year.
So just, it's an increase of Chapter 70 funds for the next fiscal year. So
Yes.
we're getting an increase of $18,000 more.
Yes.
We're gonna throw a party with that.
That's about a 0.4% increase over last year. So, Mrs. Millard, when you ask, how do we explain it to people?
There you go.
Our costs are going up by, we're requesting 6.23, the town is requesting we come in at a 2% increase. The
state
state
is
provided
giving
us a
us
0.4% of that increase. So that's one place you could go to and say the state is not keeping up with the costs. So these plans are due, and part of it is to school committees need to approve these plans. So at the March meeting, they have to be submitted April 1st. So I will have our SOA plan for you to approve in the March meeting.
Wow, so we got money and the ability to write up a plan.
Yeah, I said to the commissioner, can my plan just say to reduce the fewest number of positions possible? Like, $18,000 is not gonna help very much, but I'm not gonna turn it down, so. But yes, there's a in your packet is a whole format of things if you really wanna read it. But there's a template that we need to follow, and we will certainly do what we need to do, per the law.
Well, and this won't help us for this upcoming year, but the legislature is putting together a committee to try to work on getting that rurality factor
Yeah.
into the Chapter 70. So that has not been, I saw Senator Goby yesterday asking
Oh,
about that
okay.
specifically.
Yeah, they hadn't appointed as the commission yet last time I asked.
No, I
them.
mean, but, I said, that could still happen. She said, oh, yeah, that's gonna happen. So,
And there's been a lot of information out there about the governor's proposed budget, how, yes, the total amount of money meets the 1/7 to get to the 1.5 billion. But there's a lot of information out there from various sources that say the area the governor missed on was low-income students. He hit the mark with ELL and some of the other challenges, but he missed on low income, and that's, for us, a big deal, because 50% of our kids are in that category. So,
I think it's a big deal for many districts.
it is, but for us,
But
I'm being
yeah, obviously,
provincial.
yeah, for us it matters a lot. But I think it's really important for people to recognize this is not a North Brookfield problem. This is a problem for districts all over the state. So.
All right, next. Any questions about the SOA plans? 'Cause
No, we look forward to reading it
Yeah.
thoroughly.